Ambassador Prelate Theron stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue planet grow larger on the view screen. Earth. Such a small, insignificant world. The third planet from a yellow star in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. His sensors told him the inhabitants had just discovered faster-than-light travel. Babies, really. Taking their first steps into a universe they did not understand. The Valorian Empire had done this 1,000 times before. A new species discovers FTL, ventures out into space and encounters the Empire. Then comes the choice: join peacefully or be conquered. Most chose peace. The smart ones always did. Theron adjusted his ceremonial robes and prepared his speech. 200 years of imperial tradition backed every word. He would be firm but fair, frightening but reasonable. The humans would see the wisdom in surrendering. They always did. The human ship approached. It was ugly, Theron thought. Functional and brutish, with none of the elegant curves of Valorian design. It looked like something built in a hurry by people who expected it to break. When the human delegation came aboard, Theron was struck by how ordinary they looked. Bipedal like most species. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. Their faces were flat, with forward-facing eyes that tracked movement with unnerving focus. The lead human introduced herself as Ambassador Chen. She was small, probably in the middle years of her lifespan, with dark hair streaked with gray. She smiled constantly. Theron found it disturbing. In Valorian culture, showing teeth was a sign of aggression. "Welcome to Sol System," Chen said, still smiling. "I hope your journey was pleasant." Theron delivered his speech. The Empire's greatness, the benefits of joining, the consequences of refusing. He had given this speech 43 times in his career. It always worked. Chen listened politely. When he finished, she tilted her head. "So you're threatening us?" "I am offering you a choice," Theron corrected. "Right, join you or get invaded." Chen's smile grew wider. "And you've done this to other species?" "Many others. They now prosper under Imperial protection." "I see." Chen looked at her fellow humans. They were all smiling too, Theron noticed. Some were trying not to laugh. "Ambassador Theron, I need to ask you something important. Have you researched Earth at all?" "Our history? Our culture?" "We know what we need to know. You are a young species, recently unified with limited military capability." Chen actually did laugh then, a short, sharp sound. "Recently unified. Ambassador, we're not unified. We have 193 separate nations on Earth alone. We've been fighting each other for our entire history. We only stopped killing each other long enough to build spaceships." Theron frowned. "Then you are divided. Even easier to conquer. That's what we thought you'd think." Chen stood up. "Ambassador Theron, I'm going to be very clear with you. Please don't invade Earth. Not because you'll win, but because you'll lose in a way that will scar your empire forever. We're not like the other species you've met. We come from a world that has tried to kill us since we learned to walk. Everything on Earth is either poisonous, venomous, or wants to eat us. We survived by becoming the scariest thing on our planet. You speak bravely for someone about to be conquered," Theron said. Chen's smile finally faded. Her eyes went cold. "I'm not being brave, Ambassador. I'm trying to be kind. Go home, please, because if you invade, we won't fight you the way you expect. We won't send our best soldiers. We'll send our worst. The ones we usually keep locked up because they enjoy violence too much. The ones who volunteered for this war the moment we told them aliens exist." Theron had heard threats before, empty words from species trying to seem stronger than they were. He dismissed Chen's warning and gave her 72 hours to deliver Earth's surrender. Chen left. As her ship pulled away, she sent one final message. "We tried to warn you." 3 days later, the Valorian First Fleet arrived at Mars Colony. 5,000 soldiers in full combat armor descended on the human settlement. They expected resistance from maybe a few hundred human warriors. Professional soldiers, properly trained, fighting with honor and discipline. What they found was chaos. The humans were waiting, but they looked nothing like soldiers. No uniforms. No formation. Just humans in black body armor. Faces painted with skulls and demons carrying weapons that looked homemade. They were scattered across the colony in small groups, hiding in places no proper soldier would hide. Then the humans attacked. Commander Vareth, leading the ground forces, watched in confusion as a group of 10 humans charged directly at his position. They were outnumbered 5-1. It was suicide. They should have retreated or attempted to negotiate. Instead, they screamed. Not war cries or battle hymns. Just screaming, wordless and primal like animals. 3 of them died in the first volley of plasma fire. The remaining 7 kept coming. They moved fast, too fast, zigzagging and rolling, using the terrain in ways Verath's tactical computer said was impossible. One human got close enough to use a blade. A blade, in modern warfare! He killed 3 Valorians before being shot down. As he died, he was laughing. Verath ordered a full scan of the human. The report made no sense. The human's body was flooded with chemicals, stress hormones that should have caused heart failure. Instead, they had made him faster and stronger. His pain receptors were essentially shut down. He had fought through wounds that would have incapacitated any Valorian. The battle lasted 6 hours. The Valorians won, technically. They took the colony, but they lost 400 soldiers doing it. Against fewer than 100 humans, Verath sent his report to Theron. These are not soldiers. These are something else. They don't fight with honor or strategy. They fight like cornered predators. Request immediate xenopsychology team. Something is wrong with this species at a fundamental level. On Earth, in a military command center deep underground, General Martinez read the battle reports and nodded. Good, they're scared. Now send in the real soldiers. A younger officer looked confused. Sir, those were our elite special forces. What do you mean, the real soldiers? Martinez smiled. It was not a kind smile. Those were the ones who volunteered first. The ones who were excited about fighting aliens. Now we send the ones who are calm about it. The professionals. The ones who kill efficiently instead of enthusiastically. The officer swallowed hard. They're going to think we're monsters. Yes, Martinez agreed. That's the point. The Empire conquers through intimidation and superior numbers. They've never fought someone who intimidates them back. By the time they realize what they're dealing with, it'll be too late. They'll be too afraid to think straight. Across the Valorian fleet, reports flooded in from Mars, Europa, and Proxima settlements. Every battle told the same story. The humans fought without fear. They took impossible risks. They refused to surrender even when surrounded. They seemed to enjoy the violence, laughing and shouting to each other even as they died. One surveillance recording showed a wounded human, both legs broken, propping himself up against a wall to keep shooting. He ran out of ammunition and started throwing rocks. When Valorian soldiers approached, he detonated a grenade he had been holding, taking 3 of them with him. Theron watched the recordings in his private chambers. He had started the invasion with confidence, certain of quick victory. Now 3 days in, he felt something he had not felt in his entire military career. Fear. These humans were not warriors. Warriors had honor, discipline, rules. These humans were something older and darker. They were survivors from a nightmare world, and they brought that nightmare with them wherever they went. Theron sent a message to the Imperial capital, marked urgent, requesting reinforcements. Enemy forces more dangerous than projected. Human psychology requires further study. They do not behave like any known species. The response came 12 hours later. Reinforcements approved. Crimson Fleet dispatched. Victory expected within 30 days. Theron read the message and felt no relief. He remembered Ambassador Chen's words. We'll send our worst. The ones who enjoy violence too much. If these were humanity's worst, what did their best look like? He would find out soon. And he suspected he would not like the answer. Fleet Admiral Koresh had conquered 34 worlds in his long career. He knew warfare like others knew breathing. When the Empire called him to handle the Earth situation, he expected a quick resolution. Theron was a diplomat, not a warrior. He had probably panicked over nothing. Then Koresh watched the battle recordings. He sat in his private viewing chamber alone and played them again and again. Each viewing made him more disturbed. In one clip, a human female with bright red hair painted on her face fought 3 Valorian soldiers simultaneously. She moved like liquid, impossibly fast, using a combat knife against plasma weapons. She killed 2 before being shot. As she died, she smiled. In another recording, a group of humans was surrounded in a building with no escape. The logical choice was surrender. Instead, they rigged the building with explosives and waited. When Valorian troops entered, the humans detonated everything. The explosion killed everyone, human and Valorian alike. The last sound recorded was human laughter. Koresh called for the xenopsychology team. The lead researcher, a thin Valorian named Selth, entered nervously. Admiral, we have completed our analysis of human biology and culture. Tell me why they fight this way, Koresh demanded. Selth activated a holographic display. Earth appeared, rotating slowly. Earth is what we classify as a Class 9 death world, the highest danger rating in our system. Humans evolved on a planet that actively tries to kill them. Poisonous plants, venomous animals, predators larger and stronger than they are, diseases, parasites, extreme weather. Humans have no natural armor, no claws, no venom. They are weak by physical standards. They don't fight like they're weak, Koresh said. Exactly. They compensated by evolving something else. Intelligence, yes, but also something we have never encountered before. Selth pulled up a chemical diagram. Humans produce combat drugs automatically. When threatened or injured, their bodies flood with chemicals called adrenaline and endorphins. These chemicals shut down pain, increase strength and speed, and sharpen focus. Essentially, humans become stronger when they are hurt or scared. Koresh stared at the display. They become more dangerous when injured? Yes, and there's more. Selth showed images of Earth's history. Wars, battles, violence spanning thousands of years. Humans have been fighting each other since they developed tools. They have fought with rocks, with metal blades, with chemical explosives, with nuclear weapons. They have developed hundreds of fighting styles and thousands of weapons. Warfare is not something they do occasionally. It is woven into their entire cultural history. All species have wars, Koresh said, not like this. Selth's hands shook slightly. Admiral, humans have a concept called total war. When humans fight, they do not just target enemy soldiers. They target resources, infrastructure, morale, psychology. They have fought wars that killed millions of their own kind. They have genocided entire populations. They have burned cities and poisoned farmlands, and they survived it all. Every terrible thing they did to each other made them better at warfare. Koresh felt cold. What are you saying? I am saying that humans are persistence predators. On Earth, they hunted animals by chasing them for days until the prey died from exhaustion. They did not give up. Ever. That same instinct applies to warfare. Humans do not fight to win battles. They fight until the enemy is completely destroyed or until they themselves are dead. There is no middle ground. That is madness. Yes, Selth agreed quietly. From a certain perspective, the entire human species is suffering from a form of collective insanity. But it is an insanity that works. It kept them alive on a planet that should have killed them, and now they bring that survival instinct to war with us. Koresh dismissed Selth and sat alone in the darkness thinking. He had requested the Crimson Fleet, the Empire's elite forces. Warriors trained from birth following ancient codes of honor, the best soldiers the Empire had ever produced. Were they enough? The Crimson Fleet arrived 2 weeks later. 10,000 of the Empire's finest soldiers wearing red armor that marked them as the elite. Their commander, War Master Thalen, was a legend. He had never lost a battle. I will end this quickly, Thalen told Koresh. These humans are undisciplined rabble. They may frighten regular soldiers, but they have never faced the Crimson. Koresh wanted to believe him. He said nothing about the xenopsychology report. Thalen would learn soon enough. The Crimson Fleet struck at Titan Station, a human mining colony on Saturn's largest moon. Intelligence suggested light defenses, an easy target to demonstrate Imperial strength. The humans were ready. The battle began at dawn, Titan time. The Crimson soldiers advanced in perfect formation, a wall of red armor moving with precision. They expected the chaotic, screaming attacks they had heard about. Instead, they found silence. The humans had disappeared into Titan's underground tunnels. For 6 hours, nothing happened. Thalen grew frustrated. He sent scout teams into the tunnels. None returned. Then the humans struck. They came from below, from above, from hidden positions the scouts had somehow missed. They used the environment as a weapon. Titan's low gravity and methane atmosphere created conditions the Valorians had trained for, but the humans had lived in for years. One Crimson squad encountered a single human in the tunnels. He was young, barely an adult, wearing no armor at all. Just the environmental suit and a weapon. The squad leader demanded his surrender. The human laughed. Surrender? Fuddy, this is the most fun I've had in years. He attacked. 1 human against 8 elite Crimson soldiers. He lasted 40 seconds before being killed. In those 40 seconds, he killed 3 and wounded 2 others. The squad leader, shaking, checked the human's identification. Before joining the military, this human had been a teacher. He taught children. The battle lasted 3 days. The Crimson Fleet won, eventually, but they lost 1,500 soldiers. 1,500 elite warriors defeated by 300 human colonists. Miners, engineers, teachers. Not soldiers, just humans. War Master Thalen sent his report personally to Koresh. His hand shook as he recorded it. The humans do not fight like any species we have encountered. They set traps using their own wounded as bait. They sacrifice themselves to take out single targets. They laugh when injured. They sing songs while fighting. I had one soldier surrender to me personally. He said he could not continue fighting humans. They terrified him more than death. Koresh read the report and made a decision. He needed to understand these humans better. He needed to capture one alive and question them. The opportunity came during a raid on Europa. A human officer was captured, wounded but alive. Her name was Captain Sarah Rodriguez. Koresh had her brought to his flagship for interrogation. Rodriguez sat in the interrogation chamber, handcuffed, bleeding from a shoulder wound. She looked calm. Too calm, Captain Rodriguez, Koresh began. I want to understand your people. Why do you fight this way? You must know you cannot win. The Empire has resources beyond your imagination. Why not surrender and spare your people? Rodriguez smiled. It was the same disturbing smile Ambassador Chen had shown. Admiral, can I tell you a story? If you wish. When I was 10 years old, I went hiking with my father in a place called Yellowstone. Beautiful place. Forests, mountains, wildlife. We were walking on a trail when we saw a grizzly bear. Do you know what a grizzly bear is, Admiral? A predator native to Earth. A predator that weighs 800 pounds and can run faster than a human. This bear was between us and safety. My father looked at me and said, "Don't run. If you run, you're prey. Stand your ground. Make yourself big. Show it you're not afraid." So we stood there, a grown man and a 10-year-old girl, facing a creature that could kill us both without effort. And we yelled at it. We waved our arms. We made noise. We acted like we were the dangerous ones. What happened? The bear left. It decided we were too much trouble. Rodriguez leaned forward. That is what humans do, Admiral. When faced with something bigger and stronger, we do not run. We make ourselves scary. We convince our enemies that killing us costs too much. Even if it is a lie, even if we are terrified, we pretend we are not prey, because the moment you act like prey, you become prey. Koresh thought about this. So this is all pretend? You're afraid? Oh, we are terrified, Rodriguez said cheerfully. But we are also angry. And humans are very dangerous when we are angry and scared at the same time. We stop thinking logically. We just want to hurt the thing that threatens us. That is what you are seeing in your soldiers' reports. Humans who have activated their fight response. And humans almost always choose fight over flight. This is madness, yes, but it is our madness. We have been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years. We are very good at it. Before Koresh could ask more questions, alarms blared. The ship was under attack. Impossible. They were in deep space, far from any combat zone. The security feed showed 12 humans in boarding pods cutting through the hull. 12 humans attacking a flagship with a crew of 3,000. Rodriguez smiled wider. That would be my rescue team. You should probably run, Admiral. The 12 humans moved through the Valorian flagship like a plague. Koresh watched the security feeds in horror as they carved a path toward the detention level. They should have been stopped immediately. 3,000 crew members against 12 invaders. The mathematics was simple. But the humans did not follow mathematics. They moved in pairs, covering each other with practiced efficiency. When Valorian security teams tried to set up defensive positions, the humans simply changed routes, finding paths through maintenance shafts and service corridors that the ship's own crew barely knew existed. They had studied the ship's design. They had prepared. One human carried a device that screamed electronic noise, jamming communications. Another threw small explosives that created smoke and chaos. They did not try to fight every Valorian they encountered. They simply moved past them, fast and fluid, leaving confusion in their wake. Koresh sent his elite guards to the detention level. 20 of his best warriors, armed and armored. The security feed showed them taking position, ready for the humans. The humans arrived. The leader, a massive man with scars covering his face, assessed the situation in seconds. He turned to his team and said something. They nodded. Then they attacked directly into the defensive position. No tactics, no strategy, just raw aggression. It should have been suicide. 3 humans died in the first exchange of fire. The remaining 9 kept coming. They moved like they had trained together for years, each one knowing exactly where the others would be. One human drew fire while another flanked. A third threw a grenade that disabled shields. The massive, scarred human reached the guards. He fought with a knife in his bare hands, moving faster than seemed possible for something his size. He took hits that should have dropped him and kept fighting. Blood covered his armor, his own and others. Koresh watched as this single human killed 7 guards before finally collapsing. As he fell, he was laughing. Actually laughing. The remaining humans reached the detention level and freed Rodriguez. The entire operation took 11 minutes. 8 humans died. 4 escaped with Rodriguez. 4 humans had successfully raided an Imperial flagship. Koresh stood in his empty bridge, surrounded by damage and bodies, and felt something break inside him. These were not soldiers. Soldiers could be defeated. Soldiers followed rules, had limits, felt fear. These humans were something else entirely. Over the following weeks, the war escalated into nightmare. The humans stopped pretending to fight conventionally. They embraced chaos completely. They hacked Valorian communications and broadcast sounds during battles. Music, they called it, though it sounded like noise to Valorian ears. Pounding drums, screaming voices, aggressive rhythms that somehow made the humans fight harder. Valorian soldiers reported feeling disoriented and frightened by the sounds. Worse were the videos. Humans recorded their battles and sent them to Valorian ships. Footage of humans laughing while fighting. Humans dancing after victories. Humans turning Valorian weapons into trophies. One video showed a human wearing pieces of Valorian armor he had taken from defeated enemies, arranged into a macabre costume. He waved at the camera and said, "Come get it back." The psychological impact was devastating. Valorian soldiers began having nightmares. They called humans the laughing demons or the smiling death. Several units refused deployment orders. Others surrendered immediately when encountering human forces. Koresh brought this information to the high command. "We are losing control, not because we lack military strength, but because our soldiers are too frightened to fight effectively. The humans are not just fighting a war, they are fighting our minds." The high command refused to accept this. Fear is temporary. Victory is permanent. Increase the pressure. Use orbital bombardment if necessary. Koresh followed orders. He authorized bombardment of human positions from orbit. Surely humans hiding in bunkers, cut off from support, would surrender. The humans adapted. They moved into areas too dangerous for Valorians to follow. Radioactive zones, extreme temperature environments, places where the bombardment had made the terrain unstable. They survived in conditions that should have killed them. One unit lived in a bombed-out facility with radiation levels that would kill a Valorian in hours. The humans wore minimal protection and stayed there for 3 weeks, conducting raids before returning to their poisoned shelter. When finally captured, the unit leader, a woman named Sergeant Kincaid, was asked how they survived. "You build up a tolerance," she said with a shrug. "It's killing us slowly, sure. But slowly beats dying fast. You are dying from radiation poisoning and you continued fighting?" The interrogator could not understand. "We were dying anyway," Kincaid said. "Might as well take some of you with us." The interrogation ended when Kincaid's team launched another rescue operation. This time Koresh was ready. He had tripled security, installed new detection systems, prepared ambush positions. The humans infiltrated by hiding in a shipment of supplies. They had stuffed themselves into storage containers marked as non-essential equipment. They spent 6 hours in those containers, barely able to breathe, waiting. When the containers reached the detention level, they burst out and retrieved Kincaid. This time, 15 humans participated. 8 died. 7 escaped with Kincaid. Koresh ordered the survivors captured. "I want to know how they keep finding our ships, how they keep getting past our security." The captured human was a young man named Private Chen. No relation to Ambassador Chen, but he had the same disturbing smile. Under interrogation, he was cooperative, almost friendly. "How do you find our ships?" Koresh demanded. "You are not very good at hiding," Chen said. "Your ships are big and produce a lot of energy. We just look for the obvious signs." "How do you get past our security?" "We think like you are thinking, then do something else. You expect us to be logical, so we are illogical. You expect us to follow rules, so we break them. You expect us to value our lives, so we risk them. Everything you think we will do, we do the opposite. That is not a strategy. That is madness." Chen smiled wider. "Yes, but it works, doesn't it?" Koresh had Chen returned to holding. He sat alone in his office, reviewing battle data. trying to find a pattern. There was none. Every human unit fought differently. Every attack came from unexpected angles. Every defense collapsed in unpredictable ways. He realized something terrible. The humans were not fighting to win. They were fighting to make the Valorians lose. Every battle cost the Empire's soldiers resources and morale. Even when the Empire won tactically, they lost strategically. Koresh wrote a long report to Emperor Thasian III himself. He detailed everything: the human psychology, their tolerance for casualties, their complete disregard for conventional warfare. He ended with a recommendation he had never made in his 34 campaigns. Your Majesty, I recommend immediate ceasefire and negotiation. We cannot win this war, not because we lack strength, but because the humans do not fight to win. They fight to survive, and they have been surviving impossible situations for their entire evolutionary history. Every day this war continues, we lose more soldiers to fear than to combat. The humans are breaking our military psychologically. If we continue, we will lose not just this war, but the respect and loyalty of our own troops. The response came quickly. Emperor Thasian rejected the recommendation. The Empire has never surrendered. We will not start with these primitive humans. Deploy the obliteration fleet, destroy their homeworld, end this war decisively. Koresh read the order and felt his hands go cold. The obliteration fleet was the Empire's ultimate weapon. 156 dreadnoughts capable of destroying planets. It had been used only twice in Imperial history, both times against species that refused to surrender after years of warfare. The humans had been at war with the Empire for less than 1 year. Koresh sent a final message to High Command. The obliteration fleet will arrive at Earth in 14 days. I estimate the humans will use that time to prepare something terrible. They always do. Do not underestimate them, please. No one responded. On Earth, in the same underground command center, General Martinez received the intelligence report. The obliteration fleet was coming. Earth had 14 days before the Empire attempted to destroy humanity's homeworld. Martinez did not look worried. He looked thoughtful. They are sending everything they have, an aide said nervously. 156 dreadnoughts. We cannot fight that many. We don't need to fight them all, Martinez said. We just need to make them wish they had not come. He opened a secure channel to every human military unit in Sol system. All forces, this is Martinez. The Empire is coming to destroy Earth. They will arrive in 14 days. I want every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have hidden and ready. We are going to show them what happens when you threaten humanity's home. We are going to hurt them so badly that they never forget. Prepare for Operation Last Stand. Across human colonies and hidden bases, soldiers received the order and smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of predators who had been given permission to hunt. The Empire was coming to destroy Earth. The humans were going to make sure it cost everything. The obliteration fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Sol system. 156 massive warships, each one capable of cracking a continent. Admiral Koresh commanded from the fleet's flagship, a massive dreadnought named Imperial Will. He had 14 days to think about this moment. 14 days to consider what the humans would do. He had recommended caution, suggested scouting, urged patience. Emperor Thasian had rejected it all. Arrive, deliver the ultimatum, and if they refuse, destroy the planet. Make an example of Earth. Show the galaxy what happens to species that defy the Empire. Now looking at the small blue planet in the distance, Koresh felt the weight of history. This was either the day the Empire secured its dominance forever, or the day everything changed. He opened communications to Earth. This is Fleet Admiral Koresh of the Valorian Empire. You have 48 hours to surrender unconditionally. Evacuate your military forces. Submit to Imperial rule. If you refuse, we will destroy your homeworld. This is your final warning. The response came quickly, not from a government channel but broadcast openly across all frequencies. It was a video, old and grainy, showing images from Earth's past. Massive explosions, mushroom clouds rising above cities, destroyed landscapes. The devastation was enormous. A human voice spoke over the images. In 1945, humans used atomic weapons against other humans. We destroyed 2 cities, killed hundreds of thousands, and scarred the land for generations. We did this to ourselves during a war between our own nations. This is what we are willing to do to our own people when we fight. You threaten to destroy us? We have already practiced on ourselves. The video ended. The message was clear. The humans were not afraid of destruction. They had already survived it. Koresh felt a chill. He had hoped the threat of total annihilation would break their spirit. Instead, it seemed to have done the opposite. The humans were telling him they could not be frightened because they had already faced their worst fears. The 48 hours passed. Earth did not surrender. No evacuation occurred. The humans simply waited. "Begin bombardment," Emperor Thasian ordered. "Destroy the planet." Koresh gave the command. The fleet powered up their weapons. 156 dreadnoughts prepared to fire simultaneously, enough firepower to turn Earth into a lifeless rock. Then something impossible happened. Contacts appeared on sensors, ships, dozens of them, human vessels emerging from hiding places throughout the solar system. They had been hiding in the asteroid belt in Jupiter's radiation storms, in the corona of the sun itself, places where sensors could not detect them. They had been waiting. "How many ships?" Koresh demanded. 73 confirmed, Admiral. More appearing every minute. 73 ships against 156. The mathematics still favored the Empire, but Koresh had learned to fear human mathematics. The human fleet attacked. They did not come in formation. They did not follow any tactical doctrine. They simply rushed forward at maximum speed, firing everything they had. It was chaos. Beautiful, terrible chaos. The Valorian fleet fired back. Space filled with weapons fire, explosions, debris. The first wave of human ships died quickly. 12 destroyed in the first 30 seconds. But those 12 ships took 17 Valorian dreadnoughts with them. The battle became a nightmare. Human ships fought with suicidal aggression. When their weapons were destroyed, they rammed. When their engines failed, they drifted into Valorian formations and detonated their reactors. One human destroyer, completely crippled, managed to crash into the bridge of a dreadnought, killing the entire command crew. Koresh watched his fleet, the pride of the Empire, being torn apart by a smaller force that should not have been able to compete. The humans were not trying to win a traditional battle. They were trying to kill as many Valorians as possible before dying, and they were succeeding. "Admiral, the humans are using some kind of new weapon," his tactical officer reported. "They are accelerating projectiles to near light speed. The impacts are devastating." Koresh pulled up the data. The humans had mounted mass drivers on some ships, simple kinetic weapons that used electromagnetic force to launch chunks of metal. At relativistic speeds, those chunks of metal hit with the force of nuclear weapons. Simple, brutal, effective. 4 more dreadnoughts died to kinetic strikes. Then 6 more. "All ships, defensive formation," Koresh ordered. "Focus fire on the ships with kinetic weapons." The fleet tried to regroup, but the human ships kept appearing. From behind asteroids, from the darkness of space, from impossible hiding places. How many ships did they have? Intelligence had said the human fleet was small, primitive, barely functional. Intelligence had been wrong. A communication came through on the command channel. A human voice, calm and cold. "Admiral Koresh, this is Captain Rodriguez. Remember me?" "You survived the rescue," Koresh said. "I always survive. I wanted to tell you something before we finish this. You came to Sol System thinking we were weak. You thought you could threaten Earth and we would bow. But you forgot something important. Humans do not surrender. Not when our home is threatened. Not when our families are at risk. We will fight with everything we have, and when we run out of weapons, we will fight with our hands. And when we have nothing left, we will fight with our teeth. That is what it means to be human." "You cannot win this battle," Koresh said. "We still outnumber you." "Winning is not the point," Rodriguez replied. "Making you regret coming here is the point. Making sure the Empire never forgets what it costs to threaten humanity is the point. We are going to hurt you so badly that your children's children will tell stories about the day the Empire tried to destroy Earth." Rodriguez's ship, a heavy cruiser, accelerated toward the Imperial will. Koresh ordered all weapons to target it. The cruiser took hit after hit. its shields failing, its hull breaching, fires spreading throughout the ship. It kept coming. "She is going to ram us," the tactical officer said, voice tight with fear. "All power to forward shields," Koresh ordered. "Brace for impact." Rodriguez's ship hit the Imperial Will at relativistic speed. The explosion was visible from Earth, a brief new star in the night sky. The Imperial Will did not explode. Its shields held, barely, but the impact killed 300 crew members, damaged the main reactor, destroyed half the weapon systems. The flagship was crippled, and Rodriguez had been one ship. The battle raged for 4 hours. The humans lost 61 ships. The Empire lost 89 dreadnoughts. 89 vessels, each one representing decades of construction, thousands of crew members, enormous resources. More than half the obliteration fleet. Destroyed by a smaller force of primitive humans who should not have been able to fight at all. Koresh, aboard the crippled Imperial Will, gave the order to retreat. For the first time in 200 years of Imperial history, the Valorian military withdrew from a battle. But before they left, Koresh made a decision. He had to understand. He had to know what made humans this way. He sent a message to Earth, requesting permission to visit the surface. No weapons. No threats. Just one Valorian wanting to learn. The humans agreed. They brought him to a place called Washington, D.C., to a collection of buildings filled with human history. Museums. He walked through halls showing human warfare across thousands of years. Primitive battles with spears and arrows. Medieval sieges with swords and armor. World wars with millions dead. Nuclear weapons. Biological warfare. Genocide. His guide was an old human woman, a historian named Dr. Abrams. She walked with him in silence for a long time, letting him absorb what he was seeing. Finally, Koresh spoke. "You have been killing each other for your entire history." "Yes," Dr. Abrams said quietly. "These weapons, these wars, some of them killed millions. Why? Why do you do this to yourselves?" "Because we are flawed. We are violent and territorial and afraid. We see differences and we fight over them. We want resources and we kill for them. We have ideologies and we die for them." She stopped in front of a display showing the ruins of a city destroyed by nuclear weapons. "But we also survive. Every terrible thing we have done to each other has taught us something. Made us stronger. Made us more determined to keep existing." "It is madness," Koresh said. "Your species should have destroyed itself. We almost did. Many times. But we always pulled back from the edge. We always found a reason to keep going." Dr. Abrams looked at him with tired eyes. "Admiral, do you know why you cannot defeat us?" "Tell me." "Because you think warfare is about winning. For you, war is a tool of policy, a way to achieve goals. But for humans, war is about survival. When you fight us, you are trying to win. When we fight you, we are trying to survive. And survival is a much stronger motivation than victory. You can choose to stop fighting. We cannot. If we stop, we die. So we keep fighting no matter the cost, no matter the odds, until either you leave or we are all dead." Koresh looked at the displays around him. Thousands of years of human violence, millions of human deaths, and yet they were still here. Still fighting, still surviving. "What do I tell my emperor?" Koresh asked quietly. "Tell him the truth," Dr. Abrams said. "Tell him you found something the Empire has never encountered before. A species that cannot be conquered because they have already conquered themselves. We have done worse things to each other than anything you could do to us. We have survived our own worst nightmares. Your empire frightens us, Admiral. But we have been frightened before. We have been hurt before. We have died before. And we are still here." Koresh returned to his ship. He sent his report to Emperor Thasian, including everything he had learned, everything he had seen. The recommendation was the same as before, but now with desperate urgency. "End this war. Request peace. Leave these humans alone. They will destroy us if we continue." 6 months after the Battle of Sol, a Valorian diplomatic ship approached a neutral space station in unclaimed territory. Inside, Emperor Thasian III prepared for something the Valorian Empire had never done in its 200-year history. Ask for peace. The Empire had lost 97 ships in the battle, thousands of soldiers, billions of credits in resources. But worse than the material losses was the psychological damage. Across the Empire, military recruitment had dropped. Soldiers were requesting transfers away from human-adjacent space. Some units had mutinied rather than deploy to fight humans. The humans had not just defeated the Empire, they had broken its spirit. Ambassador Prelate Theron, who had started this entire situation, entered the negotiation chamber. He looked older now, thinner, with gray in his feathers that had not been there a year ago. The war had aged him. The human delegation arrived. Theron expected diplomats, politicians, smooth talkers who would use the Empire's defeat to extract maximum concessions. Instead, the humans sent soldiers. Captain Rodriguez entered first, walking with a slight limp from injuries sustained when she rammed the Imperial will. She had survived somehow. Behind her came Master Sergeant Kincaid, the woman who had fought in radioactive zones. Then others, all wearing military uniforms, all bearing scars from the war. "Where are your negotiators?" Theron asked, confused. Rodriguez sat down across from him and smiled. That same disturbing smile. "We are the negotiators. Earth figured you would want to talk to the people who actually fought. The people who will have to live with whatever deal we make. Politicians make promises. Soldiers keep them." Theron did not know how to respond to this. In Valorian culture, warriors did not negotiate. That was a job for the educated elite. But he was learning that humans did everything differently. "Very well," Theron said. "Let us discuss terms. The Empire is prepared to offer reparations, territorial concessions, trade agreements." "We don't want any of that," Rodriguez interrupted. Theron blinked. "You don't want reparations? Your colonies were damaged. Your people died." "They did, and we are sad about that. But taking your money will not bring them back. Taking your territory will not honor their sacrifice." Rodriguez leaned forward. "We have 3 requirements. That is all. 3 requirements. First, the Empire leaves Sol system alone. All human colonies, all human ships, all human territory. You stay out, we stay out. We want nothing to do with your Empire." Theron nodded slowly. "Acceptable. What is the second requirement?" "We want access to your database on other species in the galaxy. We want to know who else is out there. What they are like. Where they are. We want to meet them without the Empire controlling the introduction." "Why?" "Because we deserve to know our neighbors. Because we want to make our own relationships, our own alliances, our own mistakes. We are new to this galaxy. We want to explore it freely." Theron considered this. It was an unusual request, but not unreasonable. "And the third requirement?" Rodriguez's smile faded. Her expression became serious, almost sad. "The Empire will never again attempt to conquer or pacify another species without first understanding them. No more showing up with threats and ultimatums. No more assuming you can just take what you want because you are bigger and older. You will approach new species with respect and caution, because if we find out you did to someone else what you tried to do to us, we will come back. And next time we will not stop at defeating you. We will dismantle your empire piece by piece until there is nothing left but memory." The chamber went silent. Theron felt cold. The threat was delivered calmly, quietly, without anger. That made it more frightening. Rodriguez was not making an emotional threat. She was stating a simple fact. "You would go to war again?" Theron asked. "After everything it cost you?" "Yes," Rodriguez said simply. "Because some things are worth dying for. Freedom is one. Protecting others from tyranny is another. We learned that lesson the hard way. Over and over throughout our history, we will not let the Empire do to others what you tried to do to us." Theron looked at the other humans in the room. They all nodded. They all agreed. These were not empty words. These humans meant it. "I will relay your requirements to the Emperor," Theron said quietly. The negotiations took 3 days. In the end, the Empire agreed to all 3 requirements. They had no choice. The alternative was continuing a war they could not win against an enemy that did not fear death. The treaty was signed. The Valorian Empire officially recognized human sovereignty and agreed to non-interference in human affairs. In exchange, the humans agreed not to expand beyond their current territory for 20 years, giving the Empire time to adjust to the new reality. It was not a victory for either side. It was simply the end of fighting. But the real changes came later, quietly, as word of the war spread through the galaxy. Other species heard about humanity. The primitives who had made the Valorian Empire retreat. The Deathworlders who fought with insane bravery and impossible resilience. Some species were terrified and wanted nothing to do with humans. Others were curious. A species called the Threen, facing aggression from a neighboring empire, requested human military advisors. 3 retired human soldiers arrived and taught the Threen about asymmetric warfare, psychological operations, and defensive strategies. The Threen successfully defended their territory using human tactics. They did not win gloriously. They simply made invasion cost too much. Another species, the Kicks, facing civil war, asked for human peacekeepers. The humans sent not soldiers but negotiators who had worked in conflict zones on Earth. They did not choose sides. They simply helped both factions communicate and find common ground. The Chick Civil War ended without genocide, something their historians said was unprecedented. Humanity did not build an empire. They became something stranger and more unsettling. They became the galaxy's reminder that violence, when necessary, should be overwhelming and personal. That warfare was not glorious or honorable, but brutal and horrible. That peace was precious precisely because war was hell. The Valorian Empire quietly reformed its military doctrine. They studied human warfare, human psychology, human history. They learned about concepts like mutually assured destruction and peace through strength. They realized that the best way to prevent war was to make it so terrible that no one wanted to fight. 5 years after first contact, Ambassador Chen, now Earth's primary representative to the Galactic Council, gave a speech at the first joint session that included human delegates. "My people have a saying," Chen began. Her voice was calm but carried weight. "Speak softly and carry a big stick. It means that the best way to keep peace is to be polite and reasonable, but also to be capable of terrible violence if necessary. We do not want to rule you. We do not want to conquer you. We want to be left alone to grow and explore and build our civilization. But we also want you to understand something very clearly." She paused, looking around the chamber at representatives from 100 different species. Some looked frightened. Others looked curious. All were listening. "Humans have been fighting since we learned to pick up rocks. We have fought over territory, resources, ideas, gods, and sometimes just because we were angry. We have killed billions of our own people in wars that accomplished nothing. We have destroyed cities, poisoned lands, and scarred our planet. We know what war costs. We have paid that price over and over again, and because we know that cost so intimately, we will do everything possible to avoid war. We will negotiate. We will compromise. We will be patient and understanding." Chen's expression hardened. "But if you force us to fight, if you threaten our people or our home or our allies, we will show you what 10,000 years of warfare has taught us. We will show you why humans survived when our planet tried to kill us. We will show you why the Valorian Empire, 200 years old and ruling 47 systems, chose to make peace rather than continue fighting. Not because we are noble or merciful, but because we are very, very good at violence when we need to be." She smiled, and every species in the chamber felt an ancient instinct activate deep in their brains, the instinct that recognized a predator. "So let us be friends," Chen said warmly. "Let us trade and share knowledge and build a better galaxy together. But remember what we are. Remember where we came from. And if you ever threaten us again, remember what happened to the empire that tried." She sat down. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, representatives from across the galaxy began to applaud, not because they agreed with everything Chen had said, but because they respected honesty. The humans were not hiding what they were. They were not pretending to be peaceful pacifists. They were being clear. We want peace, but we are prepared for war. In Valorian space, Fleet Admiral Koresh, now retired, watched the speech from his home. He had written a book about the war, a detailed analysis of human tactics and psychology. It had become required reading in every military academy in the Empire. The book's final chapter was titled Lessons Learned. In it, Koresh wrote, "The Valorian Empire encountered humanity believing them to be a primitive species suitable for conquest. We were wrong. Humanity is not primitive. They are survivors from a world that tried to kill them for millions of years. They developed not physical strength or natural weapons, but something more dangerous: adaptability, persistence, and a complete refusal to accept defeat. They cannot be intimidated because they have already survived their worst fears. They cannot, be beaten because they do not know how to stop fighting. The only way to interact with humanity is through respect and mutual understanding. Any other approach will result in disaster. The book ended with a warning that became famous throughout the galaxy. Never fight humans on their terms. They have been fighting each other for longer than most species have had written language. They will always be better at violence than you. The only winning move is not to play. On Earth, in the same bar where soldiers had celebrated after the Battle of Saul, Captain Rodriguez sat with Master Sergeant Kincaid and others who had fought in the war. They were older now. Some had retired, others still served. All bore scars, visible and invisible. "Do you think they really learned?" Kincaid asked, staring into her drink. "Or are we going to have to do this again in 20 years? Rodriguez was quiet for a moment. "I think they learned. The Empire lost almost 100 ships and thousands of soldiers. But more importantly, they lost their confidence. For 200 years, they believed they were invincible. We showed them they were not. That is not a lesson easily forgotten." "And if someone else tries?" another soldier asked. "Another empire, another threat?" Rodriguez smiled. Not the predatory smile she had shown the Valorians, but a tired, sad smile. "Then we do what we have always done. We survive. We fight. We win or we die trying. That is what it means to be human." They raised their glasses in a toast, to those who had died, to those who survived, to the uncertain future. Outside, Earth continued spinning, a small blue planet in an endless galaxy, a planet that had tried to kill its inhabitants for millions of years and failed. A planet whose children had learned to fight and survive and never, ever give up. The galaxy had learned what humans were capable of. Some species feared them. Others respected them. A few even admired them. But all of them remembered the lesson. Humans were not to be threatened. Not because they were powerful or advanced or numerous, but because they simply refused to stop fighting until the threat was gone, or they were. The Empire had learned that lesson the hard way. The galaxy hoped no one else would need to learn it again. But if they did, humanity would be ready. They always were.